Hey, what is up guys? Going to be doing a deck profile on a Geargia deck that I've been having a lot of fun with within the past couple days, and it actually is not only a very good deck to play, but it actually will be a budget-friendly deck, and it doesn't require pendulum summoning at all. So if you're not interested in doing any pendulum summoning and you want a good competitive deck that's also relatively cheap and easy to play, this is going to definitely be a good deck for you. I also have a video down below in the description box if you want to watch how the OTK combo works. There's a ton of OTKs in this deck, and most of them only require 2 cards, sometimes 3, and the third card is a very open card. Like it's basically any like other monster that you can normal summon just to inflict the extra little points of damage, which is the 300 if you want to go for a safer play with a Stardust Dragon rather than another card that just happens to have 300 more attack. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. I'll explain the choices as we go along. Like I said, it is definitely a budget-friendly deck, but if you happen to own some of these other cards that are currently a little bit more expensive, you can definitely still play the deck, but these will definitely add to the deck. They won't really hurt it, obviously. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started. So first off, we got triple Geargia Arsenal. This is a really good card to open up with, although it does technically reveal what you are playing. Pretty much with this card, what you want to do is you want to go ahead and summon it, attack your opponent, and then you want to activate its effect, then go for a Geargia Armor, activate Geargia Armor's effect, and then reset this card face down. Next up, we have triple Geargia Accelerates, basically used in all the OTKs. You basically have one chance to go for a huge push, and then the deck definitely slows down if you've already used your accelerator. But if you happen to have a Daigusto Emerald, you can reset your entire engine, and then from there you can continuously just go off, because sometimes you just still happen to have that armor in your hand, or if you just happen to have another armor, you can definitely do that as well, so you can definitely recycle your engine. Also, I do want to mention, this card will miss the timing if he is used as synchro material, so he does have a good effect too. It's when this card on the field is sent to the graveyard, you can target one Geargia monster in your graveyard except for himself and add that target to your hand. So that's a really good effect. And what that allows you to do is, if you go for a first turn set armor and they attack into it, they don't kill it, and you're able to add this card, if you special summon this card with a Torrential Tribute, you won't get punished at all for it, because you can re-add back the armor and then reset armor, and then you've lost nothing. Your opponent has used a Torrential Tribute, and if they had any monsters on the field, they've also lost their monster. So when a player is playing against you and they really don't know what the deck does, sometimes they won't understand when to actually activate Torrential Tribute, but Torrential Tribute can definitely hurt you, so watch out for that card. But anyways, for the most part, you really won't get punished while you're trying to go for some of your plays. Sometimes when you're going for a big play, like you're going all in, and right before you make that Stardust Dragon, they might Torrential, and then you'll lose basically because of that. So keep that in mind as well, but we'll talk about other cards that we have in here a little bit later on. But next up, we play one Birdman. This is used in AOTK. This also lets you basically special summon more monsters, allows you access for Black Rose Dragon, and just allows you access to making other things very quickly and not losing any advantage. Basically, you won't lose your normal summon by summoning the Karakuri if you really want to make Black Rose Dragon, because there are times where your opponent sets a bunch of cards and you're like, well, if I can get a Black Rose off and still have my normal summon, you know, that's going to be a huge advantage for me. So that's definitely an option. I mean, if you happen to have a Geargia Armor, let's say you add a Accelerator and you already have Birdman in your hand, your opponent has 5 back row, you don't want to go all in, you can return the armor, well, first special summon this card, because you control Geargia Armor. You can then return itself, and then you'll be able to blow up the field, and then you can reset armor. So you can reestablish a huge amount of card advantage definitely from that. But next up we have 2 of the Watchdog. I think 2 is a great number. You can swap the Watchdog amount with the Nispachi amount. Basically, this is a level 3 tuner. This is a level 4 tuner. That's really what they're used for. Nispachi, on the other hand, does have an effect. This card has an effect, but it's really never used. It can't be destroyed by battle once in attack position, but it only has 600 attack, so that's definitely not going to prevent you from getting OTK'd. But this card over here, he lets you target a face down armor and reflip armor. One thing to mention, you can only flip armor down by his own effect once per turn, so that's just one thing to keep in mind. But if you flip him face up, you get his effect to search, and then if something else flips him back face up, you also get that search. So you can get the search multiple times, but you can't flip him down face down by his own effect multiple times, otherwise that'd be crazy. You could flip it infinitely at that point. But yeah, basically you want to put him face down. If you guys check out the video, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. It's the very standard OTK, and there's so many variants of it. It's all basically the same though. Next up we play 3 MK2, and we play 2 Geargano. You can drop one of these if you really wish to, but I just feel like there are times where you open up with multiple Geargia gear, like opening up with 2 Geargia gear, and if you just draw one of these, the other one will be dead. But this card is so good. I mean, it's almost so good to the point where even if you are only able to activate one within the first like 1 to 2 turns, you automatically win. Like, this card is insane. This card plus armor equals OTK. This card plus bird band equals OTK, like you saw in the video if you watched it in the description box. This card plus dog equals OTK. This card plus this equals OTK. There's so many OTKs in this deck. It's ridiculous, and they're all basically the same, like I said. But next up, we played double Max C and double Valor, Dark Hole, because Dark Hole. And to make it have the best matchup against Pendulum Summoning, honestly, MST, guys, is one of the best cards. I almost considered going for a Dust Tornado instead, because Dust Tornado allows you to set Geargia gear a lot safer, and then you can activate it on your turn, and then you can go off even harder. But the way I looked at it was sometimes you really need to get rid of something. Like, for example, Kaiser Coliseum is a card where you can't do anything. Boojins are going to be very popular against the Pendulum archetype, because that deck loves Kaiser Coliseum, and if Kaiser Coliseum is out, a lot of decks just like, they don't have the options to actually make anything, because this game is all about XYZs and pendulums for certain decks, and if you can't go for them, then you'll just simply lose. But next up, we're playing One My Body as a swag. This card is just too good not to play in this deck, honestly. One is so good, guys, and someone's going to be like, Asian Eyes, this card sucks. Hold on. Go back and watch some of the top players that were playing previously. They played this card. I love this card before that, and then now I kind of like this card a lot more in this deck, simply because there are a ton of times where you are just short of a few life points, and you won't be able to make a game because they happen to have one back row, and you're like, well, if that, and you know that back row might be a Mirror Force, and you know that's a card that you just don't want to deal with. This card comes in clutch at the right moments, and even if you can't finish them off for game, having this card face down so you don't get Dark Hold. A lot of times what happens in this deck is when you go for your big push, if they stop it somehow, like maybe they happen to have one monster, maybe they happen to have a face down Call of the Haunted that they're going to bring back and then just take a bunch of damage, but they'll be able to, you know, special summon a monster and then like not die basically. Dark Hole will make it so you lose the game. Also, I love this card because when you're going for your big pushes, what it allows you to do is, what I was mentioning before, again, you should really watch the video where I talk about a lot of the stuff in the video where I basically show off the deck, but a lot of the times in this deck, you'll make double of this guy over here, Beret, or maybe you'll make one Burrito and one Beret. So what it comes down to is you'll also have the ability to make one more level 8 Synchro. So let's just say, for example, you have two 26s on board, which is very common. It's basically what happens in almost every duel in the game. You'll be able to go for one turn, and you'll be able to bring up both of these, and then you'll have the option to go for one other Synchro that's level 8. If you go for Stardust Dragon, let's say they happen to have back row and you're afraid. So if you go for Stardust Dragon, that's not game. You're going to have to make Crimson Blader or Scrap Dragon. And with Scrap Dragon, what it allows you to do is allows you to just set any you know, card, or technically you can normal summon if you really want to. And it allows you to pop that extra card. Maybe they have a face down monster. You can pop that monster and then secure game that way, and you can feel a lot safer doing it because with My Body as a shield, you don't have to worry about Mirror Force, which is going to be a very good card, I think, once Pendulum Summoning comes out, because it really will punish players that overextend. So next up we have 3 Geargia gear, which is basically just used to go for a free rank 4 if you want to. It also opens up, you know, lots of OTKs, which this deck already kind of does. But it's really good to be able to make this card sometimes in the right moment, making this card, making this card. It allows you options basically, is what it comes down to sometimes, if you really don't want to go for that OTK. And even if the OTK fails, sometimes you can just go Geargia gear, and if they stop you too early on the play, you can still technically OTK anyways. But next up, we're playing one Bottomless, because you can only play one. Otherwise, I'd definitely play more with Pendulum Summoning coming out. And this is what makes it so good against Pendulum Summoning, guys. Mirror Force and Torrential are your best friends against Pendulum Summoning. Also, Mystical Space Typhoon. These cards over here will be your best friends. Maxi, sometimes, because the thing is, some decks will deck you out. Other times they will just go all in, no fear, and they will OTK you. This is a deck where if they go ahead and go all in under Maxi, and if they pop all your back row, you will still technically lose. I don't recommend Gorge in this deck. I don't really feel it's necessary, because most of the time, protecting your armor and getting that effect so you can OTK is much more important than getting a Gorge, which has very little synergy with the deck, other than keeping yourself alive. But for the most part, yeah, Gorge might even get in the way of your combo. Like, it'll just be too many monsters, like Gorge in the token, and then you won't be able to go for your huge extensive plays. Because remember, always remember that you have to have a face-up Geargia. I've made the mistake so many times myself, where I put the armor face down, and then I'm like, oh man, man, wait, I need to special summon this, then put this face down, then normal summon this card. So don't fail like Asian Eyes and do that. So make sure before you special summon that you obviously happen to have a monster. Just don't mess that up. Next, I'm playing one Trap Stun. This deck can OTK really hard. You have your Space Typhoons, but you know Trap Stun is really good also in that aspect. And you know you're playing a bunch of traps, so Decree wouldn't be a great card. And you won't really need to activate your traps on your turn. The only card that you would activate on your turn technically would be something like a Geargia Gear, and usually you activate that during your opponent's end phase, so they can't really do anything to it anyways. After, you know, like, let's say they set up, you have this face down, they set up on your cards, activate this, because drawing these cards are not the end of the world. I think it's Geargia Armor, and I think you can do it with MK2 if you're able to add a Birdman with a Geargia X. Well, this is already an OTK, but there's other OTKs with MK and Armor. I forgot the exact combo. It's pretty extensive, and you need one more card, whether it be Geargia Gear. But there's, like I said, there's so many OTKs. You can figure them out as you play. It's pretty simple. Next up, 3 Black Horn of Heaven. I can't stress how much this card is going to be a very key card. I know against certain decks, it doesn't have any effect. Like, it's basically dead. Pretty much, I would say Bujins is the deck that kind of is the deck where you don't really want to have it against, but it is so good against other decks. Like against Pendulum decks, this card is so good because a lot of times Pendulum summon players they'll need to make an XYZ to actually make a game. Well, they'll try to make a synchro. If you can negate that synchro, or even better yet, negate the XYZs, the Pendulum monster will go to the graveyard, and that's really good. You don't want it going back to the X deck and face up position, because then they can just bring it back again. But if they go for an XYZ play, which more than likely they will do, because a lot of players will be playing aggressive against you, because they know if you play too passive, this deck will always have the advantage. If you can flip up armor multiple times and get too many searches, you're going to lose advantage, and you're simply just going to lose, because they'll either OTK you or have a bunch of cards in their hand to the point where even if you stop their OTK, they'll basically be able to set armor because they don't even need their normal summon most of the time anyways, and they can still pull off the OTK just later on. They'll just wait one more turn, and if you don't have an answer, they will OTK you. But this card is just so good. It stops all synchros, it stops all XYZs, and against Pendulums, okay, right now, how it's ruled at least, is this does not stop Pendulum Summon unless they special summon one monster, which is really not going to happen with Pendulum Summoning, but hey, it's there. But it will still stop Synchro Summoning, and I mean, very rarely will you see a Pendulum player overextend and not make any XYZs or not make any Synchros. So I still feel like this card is good. It's also still good against things like Judgment Dragon, Dark-Armed Dragon. If you do play in the OCG, Dark-Armed Dragon is at multiple. But this will not stop stuff like Megalo. It will not stop stuff like Gores. It'll only stop inherent special summons, which means they just special summon themselves from the hand without any other effect other than their condition being met. Like Judgment Dragon, for example, requires 4 Lightsworn, then you just special summon. Megalo, you have to discard the cards to actually special summon him. He is not an inherent, he is an effect. Gores is also a non-inherent one. But all Synchros, all XYZs are going to be, also Contact Fusions, those are also inherent special summoning, so that will stop all of them, and this will really help your matchups against those decks. And what it really allows you to do is it lets you keep armor up. So if you don't happen to have, I mean, like, pretty much you can OTK with most hands in this deck, but let's say, for example, you don't have it. You just have the armor, and you're not able to OTK, obviously, because you just have armor. So what this will allow you to do is, he has 1900 defense, so if they don't special summon anything, you're good. He'll probably survive. If they do, he'll survive anyways, and then you just negate whatever they do. So since he survives, you just add the card, and you proceed to win. And if you have Trap Stun, you're good to go. If you want to, guys, you can definitely bump up the count of Trap Stun, but for the most part, I feel like this next format is going to be relatively fast. And if you're playing against a Pendulum deck, most of those decks rely heavily on just they're running backward destruction, and they're just trying to OTK you before you even have a chance to go for your stuff. But like I said, you'll be playing a bunch of traps in this deck, so not only can you prevent yourself hopefully from getting OTK'd with some of these other cards, and this card's amazing, but you'll be able to come back from that by just OTKing them back. And then last up, one warning, because it's warning, this card's awesome, and it's really good against Pendulum Summoning too. Next up for the extra deck, the important things, I would say the mandatory cards are these cards right here. These are mandatory. Right here, also this, and these got reprinted in gold. This is a rare, if I remember correctly, or common. This card is a tin card. Everything is really cheap in here. Like, there's nothing that's really expensive. Maybe Daigusto Emerald, but I don't remember how much this guy is. But yeah, I don't think this card is too expensive. One thing to mention though, keep Intem Tempo. There are so many times where your opponent will make this card over here, the Evil Storm Exiton or Exciton Knight. They will make this card, and the best answer to it, because they know that you'll have more advantage than them. They always realize that when you're playing this deck. I really like Tempo because it allows you to go for MK2 into this guy over here, and that lets you just get over this card really easy without losing any advantage, because sometimes you might have to go for an XYZ play, and you might not have this card or something like that. So this card is just a little good card that gets rid of Ophion. Not that Ophion really hurts you, because you can just XYZ into other things to get rid of Ophion. If you actually want to get rid of Ophion, you happen to have more options. I mean, technically there's Diamond Direwolf, which also got a reprint. I just didn't have room in here. You can definitely play that card if you wanted to, but for the most part, I don't see Evil Swarms being that much of a threat in this deck. This deck can just XYZ, even though in this version right here, there's pretty much, you got options for Cowboy to get over it, and that's about it. But you know, you can also go for this. This gets over Ophion probably the best, because, you know, just absorbing it is good. But I know I said it was a budget deck, but you don't really need it. There are other rank 4s that you can definitely play if you don't have these cards. Maybe you don't have or don't want Dweller. There's this card over here, the Symphony Jin. Over here, My Stroke is really good. This also kills Ophion, and if they happen to have a Mirror Force or something like that, this card can just still, you know, detach 1 to flip the Ophion face down, and Ophion, I don't remember his defense off the top of my head, but I know that this gets over. Okay, so it's 1650, and this card is 1800, so you can flip face down, and if they Mirror Force when you attack, you can detach 1, keep this card alive, and still get rid of Ophion. So if you want to, you can definitely put it on Symphony Jin, or I would say this card is probably, I don't really know how much that card is. Like I said, I think it's the most expensive out of this entire extra deck that I remember. It's been a while since I've checked out Yu-Gi-Oh cards that I haven't really used. But anyways, this card is still pretty good in the deck, like I said, because it can recycle your engine. But if you happen to have Draco Sack, if you happen to have Big Eye, what these cards are really used for, though, is it's when you go for an OTK and for whatever reason it fails, whether they drop something that you can't get over, you can drop the Big Eye, but most of the time it's because your OTK fails, they drop a Gores, Draco Sack is there. Also, this card can get over Gores, usually gets over the token anyways, and then it stops them from making any plays next turn. But sometimes you end up going for that Stardust Dragon just because you feel like it's a safer move, and then obviously you can protect your cards, so don't worry about that, because you have a bunch of cards to protect your cards, and Stardust will also protect your back row as well. But anyways, if you guys have any suggestions for this deck, let me know. It's a very budget-friendly deck, and it's a pretty easy deck to play. There's actually maybe like five, yeah, I think that's like 5 cards off of Robert Boyajian's deck, because I wanted to check out his deck. If you guys don't know who he is, he's top, like, I don't know, every single time when he plays this deck. Obviously, he played a while ago, though. I don't know if he's done anything for a while with Geargias, but that deck is a really, this deck, I'm sorry, is a really good deck just in general. It's going to be budget friendly, good against pendulum summoning, and it's a very easy deck to play, and I think a lot of players will be looking forward to be playing this deck, so watch out for this deck, guys, because if you play against it, if you let them get too much advantage, they will just OTK you, because they'll just have too much cards, and they'll just win you by either just having more advantage in the game by just more cards, or they will just simply OTK you. So it's got that really good passive and aggressive ability, and in the right player's hand, this deck is very good. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Asian Eyes signing out.